What's going on, traders? Welcome to this week's Forex forecast. Let me know in the comments down below what pairs you're watching this week, and if you want a link to all my charts for daily chart analysis for only $5 CAD per month, there's a link in the description for Patreon. I hope to see you there. Alright, starting off with the US dollar, the past week the banks added 630 longs and 567 short positions. Looking at the daily chart here, we talked about this daily supply level and how it reacted, and now that daily supply has been removed. So in my opinion, the daily chart on the US dollar index isn't an uptrend. So when price comes down to here, I think it'd be fine to look for day trades on the dollar. I definitely, it's a tough situation right now because if you look on the weekly chart, we have actually reacted off of this weekly supply right here. As you can see, it wicked in and came right back down. So now weekly supply is in control. So ultimately you would rather be selling. So what I would look for is for this 4-hour supply to be removed on the US dollar before looking for short positions. But at the same time, if you want to go and look for day trades in this daily time frame on the US dollar index chart, then I think that would be okay as well. All right, looking at EURUSD, the past week the banks added almost 1,200 longs and added 3,100 short positions. If you look at the weekly chart on this, weekly demand has not been in contact yet. But in my opinion, I think it'd be okay if we start to look for longs in the euro in this area on the weekly time frame. I've talked about it. I'd rather it be contacted first, but I will be looking for 4-hour confirmation in there. And what that will look like is the break of that trend line and a break of this supply zone like that. So that's basically what I'm looking for on the euro chart. In my opinion, I think it's still a good buy. We're just going to have to wait for that the best time to buy it. And if you're interested, check out the Patreon. If you want to track all of these zones with me and get all of these zones on a daily basis, updated daily, check out my Patreon. Link is in the description. It's only $5 per month. There's also a $10 option if you want me to do custom charts. It's the beginning of the month too, so it's the best time to sign up if you did want to sign up. Check it out. I hope to see you guys there. I think it's very beneficial for supply and demand traders. They can basically come in here. They would get basically this chart link I'm looking at. If you're a day trader, you can go on the 1 hour, look at the zones I have on the 1 hour. If you're a position trader, you can stick on the weekly and all that. But I think it's highly useful, so check that out. Hope to see you there. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. But with that being said, like I said on the euro, I am looking for buys. I'm just waiting for that confirmation, and I would actually like for price to come lower, just touch that weekly area of demand, and then look for price to go higher. All right, looking at the Aussie dollar, the past week the banks got rid of 7,300 longs, basically what they added longs the past week, and they got rid of 7,000 short positions. If you look on the weekly time frame here, this weekly area of demand has been removed, which has created new weekly supply. So, looking for shorts up here is not a bad idea for some day trades. I know most of you guys are kind of day traders, so I'll try to stick to analysis regarding that. As you can see, there's this fresh daily demand level. A lot of demand down here. As you can see, price could barely come down there and could barely come down there. But now we basically touched it. So daily demand, you could say, is somewhat in control. We have had a break of this 4-hour supply. That was not great supply by any means. I just drew it because, well, I like to draw the zones when I think that they are significant. So right now, price could come down to this 1-hour area of demand and go like that. So if you want to look for day trades on a 5-minute chart, this 1-hour area of demand on the Aussie dollar is looking pretty decent for that. But ultimately, where I think that this is going is much higher, in my opinion. Actually, I think the US dollar is going to get weak. So for the Aussie dollar, in my opinion, for long-term positions, I'd rather wait to see this new weekly supply be removed. But if I start to look on this 4-hour chart like this, and I start to see this trend up, which would basically look something like this, then in my opinion, I'll start to look for buys on the Aussie dollar. But until then, right now, I really don't see many opportunities. Like I said, if you're a day trader and you're on the 5-minute, here would be your nearest 1-hour demand zone to look for a 5-minute confirmation in. All right, on to the British pound, GBPUSD. The past week, the banks added 150 longs and added 350 shorts. Not much going on there on the call reports. As you can see on this daily chart, we are reacting off of this very, very tested area of daily demand. It's been tested almost once, twice, 3 times. It's coming in for the 4th test, so I do expect this to break. Even though I do think that the US dollar will get weaker, it could still break. Like I said, I know a lot of you guys are day traders, so I'll try to stick to the 4-hour and stuff. We're reacting off this trend line right now. No break yet, so there's nothing on the 4-hour to be interested in. If you look on the 1-hour, though, very similar to the Aussie dollar, this is basically 1-hour confirmation in that daily area of demand. Even though it's tested, you could look for a 5-minute shift in momentum here. Get a nice 2-to-1, 3-to-1 possibly. So definitely keep an eye out for that if you're on the 5-minute chart. If you're on the 5-minute chart, this is your area of demand that you'd be looking to get in long. And in my opinion, it's a very strong area. Like I said, the US dollar is going to get weaker in my opinion. So that could mean that this area of demand can hold on the daily time frame, even though it is tested. So like I said, you don't really want to just be buying this 1-hour demand zone since that daily demand is tested. So yeah, look for 5-minute confirmation here. I think that would be totally fine. And you could get stopped out, but in my opinion, it would be worth a shot. All right, on to USDJPY, the Japanese yen. The past week, the banks added to their longs again. Almost 10,000, 9,295 longs, and they got rid of 6,700 shorts, basically the amount of shorts they added the previous week. And that's as prices in weekly weekly supply. If you look on the daily time frame, we are in a daily uptrend still. Price barely, I talked about how I was looking for confirmation in this area. Price didn't come down all the way to that. It was unfortunate, but it did react, so the analysis was correct. It just never really came down to kind of tag me in, but that's fine. If you look at this chart right here, this is the 4-hour chart. I think that this is a little bit of a fake out. I think we could see it go a little bit lower, then go higher. So this demand is now removed, which created new supply up here. I'm not going to draw it in right now. If you want to see these updated zones, like I said, check out the Patreon. It's very, very, very useful, and it's very cheap. I price it for everybody, so check that out. I like this 1-hour demand zone for what it did and based on the higher time frames, but I don't generally take zones where it's like a flip zone. And what that looks like is the fact that this is a resistance like that, and that old resistance becomes new support, which I don't like to trade that. So basically a bunch of retail traders are buying that zone, and that's why I did not buy that order. If this zone right here was located right down here, then I'd be very, very interested in that area, and I would take that as a set and forget. For all you day traders out there, we are in some sort of 1-hour area of demand here, but ultimately it's not a good looking chart. The daily chart is looking fine, but what I would like to see is proof that this fake out is coming in, then make a higher high, then we can start to look for longs again on USDJPY. All right, on to USDCAD. The past week, the banks got rid of 3,300 longs and got rid of 770 shorts. I think last week I mentioned in my video there was this 4-hour area of supply here that I was interested in looking for confirmation in. Didn't really get it, or I missed it or something, but that would have been a nice set and forget. Would have been a little risky though, in my opinion. If you go to a 15-minute chart, there wasn't really much. All I noticed was basically this zone right here. Depending how you draw it, you probably would have got tagged in. So that was a valid trade right there. That's an easy 7-to-1, 8-to-1. So that would have been your trade there, but that happened at like 8:30 a.m. I was not up at that time, so I did miss it. Very unfortunate, but you know what? That's fine. So in my sorry about that. So in my opinion, you still want to be looking for short positions, and what I'm going to be looking for is I'm basically going to go down to the 4-hour chart. I'm going to wait for all of this to be removed. I'm going to wait for that big push down, find the zone that removed that, and then get in short to the downside. If you go to a 1-hour chart, there is a 1-hour area of supply here. If you're a day trader, if you're on the 5-minute, which I'm not, 15-minute is my lowest time frame, you can look up here in this 1-hour area of supply and look for 5-minute confirmation to the downside, and that would be completely 100% valid in my opinion. So set an alert right here at 1.32412. and then you can hopefully get in short on a 5-minute time frame. But me personally, I think it's just safer to wait for this 4-hour area of supply or demand right here to be completely removed, all this junk to be removed like that. Then I can get in short like that to the downside. All right, on to USDCHF. The past week, the banks added almost 500 longs and they got rid of 2,000 short positions. I talked about last week how we're reacting off of that weekly area of demand. Now, in my opinion, this daily time frame is somewhat sideways, but kind of an uptrend. It has removed some supply. So now we are about to come in contact with this daily area of demand. So I think looking for longs on a 1-hour chart in that daily area of demand is totally fine. So what I'm basically going to be doing is waiting for that daily area of demand to come in contact with it. Then I'm going to start to see evidence that banks are stepping in and buying. I want to see that uptrend, then I'll buy in the 1-hour. And as far as targets go, you could basically just target this weekly area of supply, but I would be careful because, like I talked about before, the US dollar is in that weekly supply, so I'd be very cautious. If I'm going to be doing this, it's going to be confirmation and small risk. For all you day traders out there, I think that the lower time frames right now, like the 4-hour and the 1-hour, I think it's best to just wait for that confirmation in the 1-hour. And then, let's say you want to look on day trade, and let's say you have a nice 1-hour area of demand right there like that. Then if you're a day trader, you can basically do your whole top-down analysis from the daily down, wait for price to come into this 1-hour confirmation and look for 5-minute confirmation in that 1-hour, and really tighten up your risk and increase your risk to reward. So if you're a day trader, I think it's safer to wait for that. All right, on to gold. The past week, the banks added 1,000 longs and they actually added 5,000 shorts, which continues their story of adding short positions. If you go to the daily time frame here, the daily is on somewhat of a downtrend. So if price does come up to this daily area of supply, I definitely would look for 1-hour confirmation in there to ride to the downside, because gold could go much lower. For you day traders out there, there is 4-hour supply here, so you could look for some sort of 15-minute confirmation for supply down there. As far as demand goes, there's really nothing on the 4-hour chart. If we come down here to the 1-hour, I really don't see any nice zones in here that removed other zones, in my opinion. This would have been a beautiful 5-minute setup in here, most likely on that 1-hour confirmation. So that was a little day trade. So that's why it's also important. Like, I think you guys should really check out the Patreon, because then you'll find these high accurate zones where you might not have found this one before, or these little hidden zones where you can look for confirmation. And so I think it's very useful. So definitely check out the Patreon for that. But other than that, on gold, I'm personally just going to wait for this daily supply to be hit. So I'm going to mark it out like that. But then I also have an alert at this 4-hour area of supply where I will look for 15-minute confirmation as well. All right, on to crude oil. The past week, the banks got rid of 5,000 longs and got rid of almost 1,500 short positions. We are in this weekly area of supply that I've talked about for a while now. It's fresh, so I'd be very cautious buying oil. I'd actually feel more comfortable buying oil once that weekly supply is removed. There are some decent little daily demand levels here on oil, but ultimately, if I'm going to be buying oil at any time, if that weekly supply hasn't been removed, it will be in this daily area of demand down here where I will look for 1-hour confirmation. For the day traders, I don't see too much here. There is a nice 1-hour demand zone here. Probably got some sort of 5-minute confirmation in there, so maybe you got a 2-to-1 in there. Other than that, you wouldn't be wrong to look for 15-minute confirmation in this 4-hour area of demand to the upside, but I probably would be taking profits somewhat earlier. Probably not going to be a big risk to reward, because like I said, I do see price coming down to this daily area of demand on oil to eventually push a move higher. Alright everyone, thanks again for watching this week's Forex forecast. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button as well if you don't mind. I really appreciate all the support. Let me know in the comments down below what pairs you're looking at this week, and maybe we can get in touch and you can send me a chart and let me know what you're looking at. I always like looking at charts. So with that being said, let's have a great trading week and let's make some money. Cheers.